This is Fields of Fire Battle the Bulge campaign, and I've just started mission number 2. What we've got set up here is a defensive battle, and we're going to be facing a pretty aggressive opponent, looks like. I'm just looking at the mission briefing, and it looks like this could be an interesting scenario. Well, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do on a turn is we're going to do the friendly higher HQ event phase, but we skipped it on turn 1, so we don't do that until turn 2, so we'll skip that. Defensive missions only, we're going to do this section. Enemy higher event, higher HQ event segment, we skip that also. You don't do that until turn 2. We next check for enemy activity, so we're going to put PC markers as indicated by the mission instruction. Well, inside the playbook, there is instruction here. Normally in an offensive mission, these potential contact markers are set at the beginning of the scenario. In a defensive mission, they pop up per a schedule that basically orchestrates the flow of the enemy offensive. So on turn 1, we're not going to put anything on row 1. And remember, the rows are oriented toward the player. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So we're going to put PC Charlie, we're going to put Charlie potential contact markers on all spaces with U.S. troops in row 2. So I've gone ahead and done that already. We'll return back to the sequence of play. We're going to check every enemy unit on the map for activity. There aren't any, so we can skip and move on. I've already done the friendly command phase, and since there are no enemies, basically in turn what you do is you pull cards, put guys in command like you normally would, and then I just bank everything. And so that's what I've done, bearing in mind limited visibility applies, so that will limit how many you can save based on the experience rating of that headquarters. So that's all done. We skipped section 3.4 because it's a defensive mission, so we don't have to do anything with that. There's nobody to capture or retreat, no vehicles yet. During the VOF segment of mutual combat phase, there's no VOFs to update. But we do evaluate potential contact markers, and so that's where we're going to have some fun now. Here's what we're going to do. The first card we're going to do is we're going to pull and see. I suppose you could do this in an orderly sequence, but it probably makes more sense to just randomly figure out who goes first. And so we have the potential of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 different PC markers triggering. So I pulled a card, and I'm looking at the card itself, the bottom there. Column 5, it says 1. So on a 1 to 5, basically, card 1 was selected from that random number pool. Next thing I'm going to do is evaluate the current contact level. Right now we have no contact with the enemy. So we're going to use the no contact column. And then I look at the type of PC marker we're triggering, and it is a Charlie. So we're going to pull 4 cards. If any one of them have the word contact, then we have triggered an enemy. Nothing. Rally, contact, shoot. What was number 4? And you always pull 4, or you always pull the number required, even if you've already triggered it. And the other one would have been okay, so yeah, it's a shame. So we have triggered an enemy. Not a big surprise. Let's find out what enemy we triggered. We're going to pull a card and check the 10 column because it's a 1 to 10 chance of what we've got. We're going to evaluate that based on the German contact packages. And so Charlie potential contact markers on 1 to 10, what did I end up with? 6, I think. Yep. So look at the 10 column, the random number beneath it is a 6. So the result was a 6. Comparing that over here on this says that 6 out of 10 will trigger package number 5. So that's how you read this display. This gives you the range. 1 of 2 out of 10 will trigger package 1. 3 out of 10 will do package 2, and so forth. So what is this package? It is on the preceding page. This package, number 5, is dismounted assault. We're going to have 3 squads. These are the range P group 7 to 12, and they're going to be marked exposed. So there are some new bits in the expansion. Here's what we got. These are the Panzer Grenadier infantry. I put them in a randomized pool so we can pull these things out as needed, and I put 7 to 12 in one of these selection cups. So we're basically just going to pull 3 of them. There's a pool of 6 altogether. So we'll pull them out one at a time. One is the first one pulled out. Sorry, it's hard to blindly do this with one hand and film with the other. So we have this guy. And the instructions, the instructional note tells us to place them in the topmost cards, row 4 of this sector. These 3 cards are sector 1. These 3 cards are sector 2, and so forth. So that is how we're going to do that. They're going to be marked exposed, and I'll do that after I'm done with the video. The next one is... this one's got rifles, looks like. So, and they're all point range, which means they have to get into your card in order to fire at you successfully. So they're going to be shot at while they're advancing. The third one is another submachine gun unit. So, by the way, if you didn't watch my earlier video, to mark hills, I've stacked 15 cards that are obsolete from Fire in the Lake, actually. Stacked them underneath these to give them some elevation. I don't know if it shows up in the video, but it is handy to tell where the elevated terrain is. And then I've marked the main line of resistance with some extra tile spacer markers just to help out with that. Now, a couple things are going to happen now. We're going to go ahead and remove this particular potential contact. In an offensive mission, usually you're not going to spot the guy that was moving in on you. Now, this one here does not place incoming VOF. They are not spotted. Okay, so they are not spotted yet. They will be moving in. So to show them as unspotted, we'll use the backs of potential contact markers, and we'll put one on each of those as well as exposed. And so we'll have to spend orders to try to spot them on the next go. So we won't be able to shoot at them yet. Our boys won't open fire until they spot somebody, and when they spot somebody, they will automatically open fire. They do not need to be issued orders to do so. Who would potentially open fire on them? Well, the guys in the gully have line of sight to the hill. This guy here has line of sight to the guy along the road, because the road, see the white border across the top, bottom, and so that would be considered long range, but they would be able to be shot at from the units in this embankment. And similarly, there is line of sight from the open ground across the open field to the forested hill that the dismounted troopers are coming down from. So that's basically how that works. Again, all these guys are going to be marked exposed. That will help us with our spotting attempts, because all of that's going to be done with pulls from here. And how many cards you pull, looking for these crosshairs to spot them, is going to be dependent on several factors: the experience of the unit, the terrain that they're in, whether they're exposed, and all of that sort of thing will play into how many cards you pull and how likely it is that you'll see them and be able to open fire on them. And what we'll be checking turn to turn is on following turns, these guys are going to be keeping, they're going to continually move towards us in an effort to attack our lines. So we still have more PCs to activate, but I just kind of wanted to show you a sense of how the game plays. Quite often you'll find yourself under fire from units that you can't see or engage with, and this game is all about managing chaos. So what's happening now is as orderly as the game will be. Once contact's made with the enemy, the chaos begins to mount exponentially, and your struggle as a player is to know how to manage that chaos to your advantage and be able to turn things around. I feel like this game gives you maybe a better sense of combat feel than a lot of tactical games will, because again, you'll be taking fire. You'll be engaged with a large opponent that you often cannot see like you can in other war games. They're there. They're like ghosts. They show up. You find yourself tangling in the dark with a very dangerous enemy. And so that is one of the things I think that this game does a great job at, portraying a side of tactical combat that many games are unable to do. It does have a challenging rulebook, but the newest version that's still in draft mode is quite good. It's Quite a bit longer than the original rulebook was, but that's because they've added so much more in the way of illustrations and examples of play that help you to learn the system. Once you've played it a few times, man, it's actually quite intuitive. So definitely recommend this one. It's worth checking out. We'll do a few more videos of this as the campaign progresses and show you some more of the action.